Baseball playoffs are now into the divisional round era. Wild cards are done and dusted. We now get Dodgers, Phillies, as well as Cubs, Brewers in the NL. While over in the American League, it's Tigers, Mariners, Yankees, Blue Jays. All 4 games take place Saturday with the Battle of I-94 leading off first pitch at 2:08 Eastern. Tigers finally get something other than a day game. They're the late game in the Pacific Northwest, taking on the Mariners. Yankees and Dodgers are co-favorites to make it back to the Fall Classic this year. You know what time it is? Baseball time with the one, the only Jim Bowden. And before we get into the divisional round, Jim, just to look back at the wild card round, what was the biggest surprise to you?
Well, it was Cam Schlittler, right? I mean, who would have thought going into that series that we'd have a superstar born overnight? This guy's life has completely changed from now going forward, and doing it all with just his fastballs. I don't usually ever text a GM during a game, especially a playoff game. But in the 7th inning last night, I couldn't help, Tommy, but texting Brian Cashman, because how in the world did this ace all of a sudden pop up on planet Earth for New York? He texted me right back with a GIF that had someone crossing their fingers. This was incredible. Nobody could have seen this coming. And I'm telling you, this is going to change the future, not just of Schlittler, who will never have to pay for another beer in New York, but this really does change the New York chances of getting back to the World Series. It changes their future as well. Imagine next year, Cole, Schlittler, Fried, Rodon, Heel. Wow.
Wow, indeed, Jim. And you mentioned it. The future is bright with this young flamethrower out there. But you did hint about it, whether this changes your thoughts of the Yankees moving forward. So let's now enter the divisional round and get your pick. We're going to go series by series. You're going to tell us who wins the series and why. So again, let's go Tigers and Mariners. Who advances in the top upper left-hand bracket?
Yeah, look, I think the Mariners are the much better team than the Tigers, and I think with the 4 division series left, this is the only series where it's a mismatch. And I think when you break down Seattle, their rotation 1 to 5 is just better than Detroit. Now, when Skubal pitches, Detroit can win that game. So Detroit can win game 2. So remember, Seattle needs to win game 1 for me to be right here, I think. But Seattle's better defensively up the middle. They are really special up the middle, led by who I think will win the MVP, Cal Raleigh behind the plate, J.P. Crawford at shortstop, J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez in center field. The offense of the Mariners is just so well balanced, led by Raleigh, but also you've got depth. Randy Arozarena loves the biggest stage. Josh Naylor, Eugenio Suarez. I mean, they have so much depth, power, speed combination. It's just better than Detroit, clearly for me. Defensively, Seattle's a better team. So what is the pathway for Detroit winning? Skubal's got to win game 2, and then on short rest, he's got to win game 5. I just find that unlikely. I've got the Mariners moving on, Tommy.
Who faces the Mariners in the next round?
I got the New York Yankees. Look, all along I thought we'd have a Yankees-Mariners ALCS. I'm going to stick by that. I like their starting rotation, the health of it, and where they are right now, better than Toronto. I also don't think Toronto's going to be able to allow the Yankees' power bats to be silenced like Boston did. I'm expecting Judge and Stanton to have huge series.
Some people think Dodgers-Phillies is one series too early, Jim, but who emerges victorious there?
And I agree with those some people, and I think whoever wins this series is going to the World Series. I think the Dodgers have the best team in baseball, but I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Phillies to win this season. The one Achilles heel that the Dodgers have is the bullpen. I don't know if they can solve it in this series. They're hoping Roki Sasaki, who wasn't activated till the postseason, they're hoping he can be an answer. Perhaps Dave Roberts will take 1 or 2 of his starters, put them in the back end to solve the problem. These teams are really well balanced. They're really even. I'm going to go with the Phillies upsetting the Dodgers because I think their bullpen will be better in innings 7 and 8 than the Dodgers.
Do the Brewers host the Phillies, or does Chicago start a new series at CBP?
Boy, this is a tough one. It really is. And really, this is all about Craig Counsell's return to Milwaukee, right? Can you imagine the boos that are going to take place in game 1 for him, leaving for $8 million, which we all understand and respect, but boy, is he going to get hate. These teams are so evenly matched. The Cubs are a much better defensive team than they are. They have a better bullpen. I normally go with defense and bullpen in October, but the Brewers have the best record in baseball. They won the division over the Cubs, and even though they lost the face-to-face with them, I just kind of feel like it's the Brewers' year to get to the NLCS, but this is the one series that I think is as close as it gets.
So we get down to our final four. If we talk about pennant races, Jim, who wins the AL battle? And by default and virtue, really, the MVP debate.
All right, so I'm going to flip a coin, and Game 7, by 1 run. I'm going Seattle, and I'm going Cal Raleigh both. Look, I think Seattle's never been to the World Series. This is the best shot they've had since Lou Piniella was managing this team, and they broke the record for the single season wins. They haven't had a better team. They have players that can live on the biggest stage. They have a better bullpen than the Yankees do in terms of depth. But I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time picking between these two teams. But because Seattle's never been there, baseball, usually we don't see the best two teams at the end, so I'm going to put the Mariners in the World Series.
You gave out Phillies earlier. How many games over Milwaukee?
Yeah, I think they probably win that in, let's go with 6 games over Milwaukee.
That means we get M's and Phillies, which I think was pre-flop, your pick before the wild card round. So this is not even a reset. This is a continuation of the Bowden projection.
Yeah, I've got Seattle over the Phillies winning the World Series. I think it's their time. You know, for the Phillies, I think this is the end of the window for them. I think their chance to win a world championship is going to be this year. Otherwise, I think there's going to be changes. I don't think they're going to be able to extend the window to next year unless team president Dave Dombrowski does miracles. That being said, I'm telling you, in 7-game series, I just love the depth of the Seattle rotation 1-5, especially if Brian Wu is healthy, which is going to be the key. We're going to see Logan Gilbert and George Kirby pitching games 1 and 2, but if Brian Wu is healthy, I just feel like the Mariners, this is their magical year.
From not winning a division title since 2001 to going all the way and winning the whole darn thing. Our Jim Bowden breaking it down here. Always, Jim, thank you with that quality baseball time. Odds to win the World Series, Yankees and Dodgers co-favorites, as I mentioned, to get back to the Fall Classic. Longest shot on the board, Ty.
All right, Dodgers Nation, buckle up because I've got to let some feelings out on this one. You ever watch the Dodgers hang on to a player way past the point of no return, and you're just sitting there like, what are we even doing here? Well, that's exactly what happened this season with Michael Conforto. And let me tell you, the Dodgers just confirmed they wasted everybody's time. Now, on paper, I actually understood why they gave him a shot. Conforto's 32, not ancient by baseball standards, and just last year with the Giants, he popped 20 homers with a 112 WRC+. Against righties, he's been solid his whole career with that .811 OPS. The guy had a reputation as a decent platoon bat, and yeah, we all knew his defense was terrible, but if you can hit, sometimes a team can live with it. But here's the problem, Dodgers fans, he didn't hit. April came and went, nothing. May came and went, nothing. And then July shows up and he suddenly puts together a hot stretch, hitting .273, .342, .485 that month. And maybe that fooled the front office into thinking, hey, maybe we've got something here. Let's not move on just yet. But that's where this whole saga went downhill. Because August, collapse. September, disaster. And now here we are, 138 games, 486 plate appearances, and he finishes with a 199 batting average and a negative WAR, 0.6 FWAR to be exact. You know how hard it is to log nearly 500 plate appearances and still end up below replacement level? That's brutal. To make it even worse, only 2 players in all of baseball with at least 400 plate appearances had a lower WAR than Michael Conforto, Logan O'Hoppe from the Angels, and Tyler Freeman from the Rockies. That's the company he's keeping. Not exactly elite company. And look at this. His 83 WRC+ ranked 25th worst in the league. That's behind guys who were rumored to be trade pieces for us like Luis Robert Jr. Think about that for a second. We were connected to Robert, who had a bad year himself, but still, he outproduced Conforto. So my question is this, why did the Dodgers keep running him out there? Why stick with him this long when it was obvious he wasn't helping the team win? Was it really just that July stretch that blinded the front office? Were they afraid to cut bait because of the $17 million price tag? Because let's be real, the money isn't the issue here. This team eats money like it's nothing. The real mistake was wasting time and at-bats on a guy who was hurting the lineup. And it gets even more embarrassing when you think about the postseason roster. They literally left Conforto off and instead carried Will Smith, who's injured and probably not even going to play in the wild card round against the Reds. Let me repeat that. They'd rather carry an injured player with no shot of contributing than Michael Conforto. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I don't know what will. Dodgers Nation, this was a failure. Plain and simple. $17 million for a guy who gave us nothing but frustration and wasted at-bats. And the worst part? The Dodgers waited way too long to admit it. If there was even a chance to get a real upgrade, someone like Steven Kwan, for example, and they passed because they still believed in Conforto, that's going to sting for a long time. So let me throw this one to you guys. Do you think the Dodgers made one of their biggest roster mistakes of the season by sticking with Conforto as long as they did? Or do you think they had no better options and just hoped he'd figure it out? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you. Smash that like button if you're as frustrated about this situation as I am. And make sure you subscribe because we're breaking down every storyline, every decision, and every move this team makes as we chase another championship. Because at the end of the day, we're Dodgers Nation and we deserve better than wasted time on players who just aren't getting it done.